Tesla is about to go through its iPhone moment. There's so much news. Let's go through all of the latest Tesla stock news. 1,136 miles on FSD supervised V14.2 without a single intervention, and the car drove itself 100% of the time, not 99.9%, 100% of the time. 80% of the miles were on highways, 20% city miles, 29 successful self-parking jobs in a row. Not 99% of the time, 100% of the time in this case. Sent to me by a follower, says Sawyer. FSD V14 has absolutely been a game changer, and this is Tesla's iPhone moment. This is like Tesla showing us the iPhone demo. If you remember the iPhone demo the first time, there were many glitches and it was not really working behind the screen. If they did one wrong move, the whole thing would have just collapsed. What we're looking at here really feels like a prototype of the first iPhone, and things really started getting good with iPhone 3, and then iPhone 6 was such a useful device, and after that it just improved a little bit. It wasn't transformational anymore, but this year, what we are going to see with FSD very soon is going to be absolutely transformational, and it's working today. And this is the highest Sawyer has seen in terms of interventions. V14 has been a real step change for miles per intervention. And speaking of iPhone moments, Tesla is about to go through another iPhone moment. Elon posted, "This is a running robot. The thing is so smooth, many people thought it's actually fake, but it's not. It is a real thing." And Tesla Optimus account here said, "Just set a new personal record in the lab." And look at how smoothly it runs and effortlessly, exactly like a human being would run. And that's not just me saying it. Many people are saying the exact same thing. And I definitely agree with this. People are vastly underestimating what's going on with the Optimus program. I predicted this and what is to come in April by triangulating Tesla's team, R&D spend, and focus on this. There's no competition. That's number one. There is actually a little bit, but Tesla really is. I mean, Apple is not working on this right now. Amazon is not really quite working on it. I mean, the whole company is not focused on this. Tesla is a huge company, and the main focus is really in the future is going to be the Optimus bot. This is not a side project that Tesla put a few $1,000,000 on and then is hoping that it's going to work out. No. Tesla is betting sort of its future on this whole thing. Although it's not really betting its future. It is going to be a very big part of Tesla's future, probably the biggest part of Tesla's future, actually. Number 2, he says, Optimus will be commercial at tens of thousands in 2026. That's a big prediction. If this happens, oh my God, I think Tesla stock is going to explode. Number 3, scaling to millions will be easier than with cars. I'm not quite sure that is true, although I definitely see why he would make that point, and we can definitely make a pretty good argument about that, because if you are comparing FSD to Optimus bots, I think that can be true. If you are comparing just simple cars to Optimus bots, I think scaling cars is a bit easier. Although Optimus bots have fewer parts. So in that sense, it's easier, but it has never really quite been done before. Number 4, demand is limitless once a critical capability threshold far below humans is reached. Absolutely true, and this is why Tesla is going to make so much money from these bots. Number 5, that threshold will be crossed by Tesla significantly before 2030. Let that sink in. Sawyer also said this. Love how the wall in the background is lined with Optimus robots charging. Oh, these are charging, actually. That's nice. When it's low on power, it autonomously locates the nearest charging station, self-navigates to it, only uses its rear cameras to align itself, and then backs into the charger to plug itself in. And then Tesla showed off Optimus version 2.5 at this event, and look at these fingers. Can you see those? You know, I've seen some comments from people saying that every man that's single is going to want one of these robots if they just put, some hair on the thing and then, do some nice things to it. But looking at these fingers, I'm not so sure that it's just going to be men. I think women are going to enjoy these just as much. The feature is going to be weird. I mean, Elon said he's going to make a cat girl robot or something. Anyway, speaking of cats, James said the finger movement is very impressive. Like, this thing has more dexterity than I do, and he's a cat. All right. Then Elon replied to this post from Tesla Optimus, 2.5 years. Tesla Optimus robots incredible progress after only 2.5 years. Yeah, basically it wasn't doing anything 2.5 years ago, and now it's running around. The thing that Elon Musk is really good at is speed. Speed is something that no one really can beat Elon Musk at. Elon is fast. And now extrapolate that 2.5 years into the future, and then do that again another 2.5 years, so 5 years, and then do it again for another 2.5 years, and then do it again for another 2.5 years. Where are we going to be then? The progress is going to be absolutely exponential. And posts like this actually make me laugh so much, but it also gives me a very good understanding how Wall Street is actually not understanding Tesla stock at all, and they are not learning from their lessons at all. Look at this. Gary is saying, okay, Tesla stock is up 6% year to date, and it has significantly underperformed S&P 500, which is up 16%, NASDAQ, which is up 22%, and its Max 7 peers up 23% on average this year, despite clear evidence that Tesla and a handful of competitors are close to achieving unsupervised autonomy. Oh, so Gary Black is admitting that Tesla is close to achieving unsupervised autonomy. I think that's good. The major catalyst for Tesla is now removal of safety monitors in all robotaxis. Did he make this post before Tesla made no, I think this is after Tesla showed us the Optimus demo. So Gary thinks the only major catalyst that can really happen for Tesla is removing safety monitors in all robotaxis, which would signal an imminent scale up, and which Elon has targeted in Austin by year end. Come on, let's be honest here. Look at this and tell me this cannot and will never be a Tesla stock catalyst. That this is not going to be bigger than full self-driving ever. That there's no chance this could ever be bigger than full self-driving. Tell me that with a straight face, that it's definitely not possible, 100%, never going to happen, not even in a world of possibilities. But I'll tell you the real reason why posts like this are so funny to me and silly. Okay, so 6% up year to date. S&P 500 up 16% year to date. You know, you could have made the exact same comment pretty much in the year of 2014, and then in the year of 2015, and then in the year of 2016, and then in the year of 2017, and then in the year of 2018, and every year you would have looked so smart and so insightful. You are the man. And then in 2019, you make the same comment again, and you look so smart. Oh my God. And then you make that comment in 2020, and oh my God, you are the dumbest person in the whole world. You were trying to be smart with pennies, and you missed such huge returns. It's embarrassing. And by the way, I'm not talking specifically about Gary Black. I'm talking about all of Wall Street. This is how they think. They just look at each year and they miss the whole point. You know what? A lot of them compare like a specific stock with S&P 500, but you know what they do not do? They do not compare their own performance to the S&P 500. You know why? It's because almost always they underperform S&P 500 in the long term. Oh, now back to one of Tesla's iPhone moments. This is what's so interesting about Tesla stock. There are multiple iPhone moments in the making and we are going through one of them right now. And we can argue we are going through at least two of them with the Tesla bot and Tesla FSD. The bot, I think, is going to take longer though. But James is saying here, in recent months, I have changed my opinion on Tesla FSD. Explained below. V14 has further reinforced my belief that FSD's progress is accelerating. This is coming from one of the former biggest skeptics about Tesla FSD overall. So many people use FSD for almost all of their driving now, including me and now many other people. The FSD tracker is showing thousands of miles between critical disengagements now, etc. This was simply not the case this time last year. But if you actually had FSD in your vehicle, and if you just spent a little bit of time thinking about what is going to happen in the rather near future and how that is going to affect Tesla stock in the long term, you would have come to a very obvious and only conclusion that this is going to be something that is going to make you very sad if you are going to be out of Tesla stock if you spend any significant time thinking about this whole thing. He continues, or the years before that. And yet, many Tesla bears have the exact same opinions today, despite all of this very visible and very obvious progress. And it is going to only continue. Not to mention that today's version of FSD will only get better from here. It shows that bearish arguments against FSD and Tesla are purely ideological at this time, which is exactly what it has been for the longest time, most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time, yes. Some bear arguments were valid, but the way they put them together is they throw in a few valid arguments and then they sprinkle with a lot of BS. And the thing about BS is when you make a good meal, no matter how little poop you put into it, it's still gonna taste like shit. All I'm saying is the seasoning that the bears are using for their arguments is definitely not helping them see the whole picture. But I think it was definitely fair to call James for the longest time an FSD bear, and now he's definitely not. Now he's an FSD bull, and a big bull when it comes to FSD specifically. And look, FSD it's like it's a person thinking in the car. Look, this car is coming out and it's taking, this turn that's not exactly the best turn. And then the car just knows to move out of the way. Here's an example. Look at that kid. He was sort of maybe going to cross the road for a second and the car slowed down right here. He was going to cross, but then decided not to. Very good. And Pudgy says, I did not even catch that until after the car suddenly slowed down. Yeah, I've experienced quite a few moments like that where the car does something like, well, why did you do this? And then a very short moment later, I realized, yeah, that was a good move. Dylan also did a little experiment here. I found the steepest unplowed hill in my area and tested the following. FSD 14.2.1 on summer tires and then on winter tires, as well as manual driving. But I think the most impressive part was how FSD went down the hill. FSD in the snow is sublime. All right. Okay, that is... I think it's fair to call this a little steep, especially if you are going on summer tires. This is definitely going to be steep. Okay, this is summer tires, you can see here.
This is attempt number 1 in my Model 3 performance with the summer tires on FSD 14.2.1 in hurry mode. So only a few yards up the hill and the car throws it in reverse and says, nope, not gonna happen. But then on its own, before I intervened at all, it tried it again.
I think it's gonna go.
And attempt number 2 by FSD threw up the red steering wheel. So at this point in my head, I'm thinking, all right, cool. I'm still a better driver than FSD. Watch me go up this hill on my summer tires, driving manually, no problem. So I get on where there's a bit more powder, and then I'm like, all right, we're good. But I got to this crest and could not make it, and just started sliding backwards, even with my foot on the accelerator. Then a mild panic on the way down, hoping no cars were coming as cross traffic. And then feeling a bit defeated, I realized I needed to go home and get the Model Y with snow tires to see how it would handle it. So I'm now back in my wife's Model Y with Michelin X-Ice snow tires we just got this year. And here's attempt number 1 up the same hill on FSD, also in hurry mode. And a few seconds in, I knew it had it, no problem at all. And even in hurry on the way down, the car was going very slow. So again, confirming it absolutely knows it needs to change its behavior on snow.
All right, then we got this post from Sawyer here. The French media, after trying Tesla FSD V14 in France, said this: it's mind-blowing, both for the safety and for the humanity of the choices. We were allowed to film everything, and I have a huge video coming, including a long uncut video. So that's good. This is the guy that posted it. Also, Rome Mayor Roberto Gualtieri and the Commissioner for Transportation and Mobility have just completed their FSD demo drive. The Commissioner emphasized interest in promoting this technology. This is very good news, which could improve road safety in Rome, and expressed eagerness for the city to lead in experimenting with new technologies. And here is FSD V14 in Germany, waiting for traffic to pass before going around a garbage truck. We are seeing similarly impressive videos from France and Italy as well. FSD works very well in Europe, despite, of course, having slightly different circumstances in Europe. There's also a bus coming, and the vehicle is just waiting, which is exactly what it should do. This is very good and controlled and safe. And now it's starting to go a little bit. All right, there's another truck coming. I think it's actually moving for that bus, but it still amazes me every time. Oh, and did you see that? I think that car flashed saying, oh, you can go. Good, very good. I'm very impressed. And then I saw this post, Tesla FSD in tiny German village streets. It's magical. I never expected to be this mind blown. It's such a good driver. Can't wait to get it for my own car. Cheers and thank you to Tesla AI team and Tesla for finally bringing this life-changing tech to Europe. All right, well, this is exactly what you want to see from people that are testing it. I don't think we saw, like, people that would test earlier versions of FSD in the US, people would be excited, of course, but they would add things like, it's mind-blowing and it's exciting, but there are some major flaws. And like, you would see comments like that unless it's someone that's a total Tesla fanboy. But we are not seeing this from people that are trying it for the first time now. And then Italian narrow roads, boom, handled. It didn't even slow down. Boom, boom. All right. I mean, maybe it slowed down a tiny little bit, but It goes. Okay, yeah, here you definitely want to slow down. Oh, that car is pretty wide. This is wild. Woo! Okay. That was impressive. Yeah, I spent some time in Italy, by the way, this year, and roads like this, where you have mountains on both sides, but also are pretty common. And it's handling this very well. All right, it's Italian certified. Now, of course, there are still going to be some issues, and Dano Dowd is really good at nitpicking stuff. Let's see what it's going to do here. Oh. Okay, so there's no sound in the video, so I can't tell if there was a disengagement or if FSD was even on, but he says FSD was going to turn onto the hard shoulder and drive straight toward the bridge. But how do you know that exactly? Because I see there's no sound in the video, so I can't tell whether FSD was even on. So I wouldn't take this video too seriously. But I did have some experience with FSD where it chooses the wrong lane, but then it corrects itself. I really don't think that even if FSD was on here, that it would have actually driven into the bridge. But I do find it quite believable that it might have chosen the wrong lane, especially if it's V13. And Peggy finally tried FSD V14.2 for the first time, and let's just say my very first impression wasn't that great. Oh. I was a little disappointed that it kept going in circles and couldn't find its way out of the garage parking lot. Although after I manually drove it out and enabled FSD, the thing was surreal. I'm not coming and bashing Tesla FSD, but instead pointing out a flaw that should be fixed. And I'm sure Tesla will fix it. Other than this, the thing is pretty much flawless. I think Tesla hasn't really put that much effort into parking in garages when it comes to driving out of those. The moment they put in some more data in these situations, it's going to get really good. And then Tesla is definitely trying to get more people to try FSD. Tesla is now encouraging customers to try self-driving on their self-service loaners. They make sure all the loaners are updated with the latest version of FSD V14. That's very good. And then some Waymo news here, which is relevant to us as stock investors. Waymo has announced that they are now fully autonomous in Dallas, meaning no human driver at the wheel. This is actually good for Tesla because anywhere where Waymo goes, they are clearing out any regulatory issues for Tesla later. So I applaud Waymo for this charitable work because they are going to go out of business the moment Tesla really scales up. Oh, and check this out. Looks like Tesla is changing, maybe upgrading cameras in some new cars produced. Whereas RAV4 today to use exterior cameras with IMX 963, now they might potentially have something called IMX 00N. I assume these are going to be better. Also, Tesla is definitely working on the new semi-truck. Lots of equipment being installed inside Tesla's new semi-truck factory in Nevada ahead of the start of mass production. So this time, mass production is actually going to start. The new redesigned Tesla Semi, more efficient, increased payload capability, designed for autonomy, 500-mile range, 1.7 kilowatt-hour per mile, which is a 15% improvement versus the old Semi. Peak charging is 1.2 megawatts, 800 kilowatt drive power, Model Y style light bar, and a lot more under the skin improvements. And then Tesla stock rises after Trump administration signals robotics. Push the Commerce Department confirmed its commitment to the sector, stating, "We are committed to robotics and advanced manufacturing because they are central to bringing critical production back to the United States." This is happening this morning. And then there's some more good news. It's good when the president and Elon Musk get along. And the president said, "We get along well." And Farzad is pointing out that human and robot regulatory environment for the next few years likely to create a big acceleration in the technology. And that, of course, is going to be very beneficial to Tesla. And then Omar is speaking about the rate of interventions. I have personally driven over 4,500 miles on FSD without a single safety critical intervention. This means FSD is capable of at least thousands, but perhaps more than 10,000 miles between safety critical interventions. So this doesn't mean that he had no interventions. It just means safety critical interventions. And some safety interventions may not be really critical safety interventions. Like if you're going to just, let's say, like very, very, very lightly touch like the side of the sidewalk. It would be an intervention, but it wouldn't be like a safety critical intervention because no one really would get hurt except the rims of the car. But he continues, "This means the average person who drives 12,000 miles a year will seek an intervention every few months or maybe one a year. At some point, you reach escape velocity. If I am expected to see one intervention per year, but in the next 6 months, that turns into one intervention expected every 10 years. And then in the next few years after that, once every 100 years, I may actually never experience a safety critical intervention again. And look at this. Tesla FSD search interest in the US is the highest it's been in the last 5 years. This is Fazad's take on Tesla's margins. I think Tesla's margins next year are going to be very, very good. Demand for Tesla vehicles due to FSD V14 will be significant. Energy systems will be in very high demand due to AI scale out. Question becomes, how much of that profit will Tesla redirect to the build out of Robotaxi plus Optimus? Tesla is the company with the biggest key man risk in the stock market, but as long as Elon stays healthy and alive, there's no better risk-adjusted investment for the next 10 years than Tesla, in my opinion. Well, I agree with his opinion because my whole stock portfolio is in Tesla stock. Self-driving at scale will remove the friction of humans / goods traveling from point A to point B due to very low cost per mile, which will transform the physical world. Humanoids at scale will dramatically lower the cost of doing physical work by 80% plus in most cases, especially in the Western world, which will again transform the physical world. Tesla, to me, is civilization's biggest player and in time will inevitably be the world's biggest company due to the fundamental disruption that it will bring to basically anything in the physical world. And by the way, Tesla is taking engineers from Apple. And over the weekend, Elon did do an interview. Here's one highlight. Tesla is a world leader in real world AI. We are making this robot Optimus, which is going to be very cool. Everyone's going to want their own personal C3PO R2D2 robot. Also, Elon said this about getting involved in politics. He says, I've generally found that when I get involved in politics, it ends up badly. So then I'm like, probably shouldn't do that. I should do less of that, is my conclusion. Politics is a blood sport. It's like you enter politics, they are going for the jugular. Best avoid politics where possible. All right, well, that's not something that you would expect to hear from Elon often. Then Elon said, I think there is increasingly a convergence between SpaceX, Tesla, and XAI. And then he said, we probably won't have money, just energy as the facto currency. He talked about the US data, how to solve it. Elon also talked about DOGE. Here's the full highlight. And then Elon talked about investing. I don't really buy stocks. I don't look for things to invest in. I just try to build things. And then there happens to be stock of the company that I built, but I don't have like a portfolio or anything. Google is going to be pretty valuable in the future. They have laid the ground work for an immense amount of value creation from an AI standpoint. NVIDIA is obvious at this point. There is an argument that companies that do AI and robotics and maybe space flight are going to be overwhelmingly almost all of the value. All right, and that's going to be it for today's video. And it will be interesting to see Tesla stock go to $1,000 per share and then well over that. In the next video, I will probably talk about my Tesla stock price target. And I'll see you next time, probably Friday. If not Friday, then probably Monday. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you later.